So the Chiefs actually have a pretty unexpected advantage here over the Lions in a couple of important matchups, with the biggest reason being the Chiefs are overall very healthy. Meanwhile, the Lions, they're unfortunately dealing with quite the injury bug that gives KC a fighting chance for reasons I'll break down in today's video. So I'll talk about what's going on with all that, the most up-to-date injury reports, key things to watch for on both sides of the ball in this crucial Week 6 primetime game, and more. But first, how about those? All right, so the Chiefs and Lions are going to go head-to-head on Sunday Night Football at Arrowhead. KC is currently favored by 2.5 points, even though most people are picking the Lions to win. Now, the Lions are very banged up on defense, but are an absolute buzzsaw on offense. However, they're dealing with a couple of interesting injuries on the offensive side of the ball as well. We'll kind of dig into both sides of the ball here, some strengths and weaknesses for both teams and how I see this game playing out. Let's start with the Chiefs offense and the Lions defense right now, because the Lions are really banged up in their secondary. They're down a couple corners, a backup corner. Terrion Arnold is ruled out. They had Trey Flowers, a guy they just signed last week, running around and playing snaps for the team. So very banged up in the cornerback room, yes, but then safety Brian Branch, that's the guy that had the pick 6 on Kadarius Toney the last time the Chiefs and Lions played Week 1 of the 2023 NFL season, and Kirby Joseph, the ball hawk himself. He had 9 picks last year and 3 picks this year so far, and that leads the team. They are both questionable to play. Brian Branch with the ankle, and then Kirby Joseph with the knee. Now, Kirby Joseph didn't practice much last week either and ended up playing almost every single snap. I would expect him to do that again, but we will see. Brian Branch hurt his ankle in the Bengals game last week in the third quarter, I believe, and I'm pretty sure he probably plays as well. Head coach Dan Campbell said it'll be a game time decision for really any of these guys listed as questionable, but he thinks Brian Branch is going to be able to play. But with that being said, even if Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph are out there playing, they're both not 100%. You're down multiple corners, and that's including Avonte Maddox. That's one of their nickelbacks. He's dealing with a hamstring injury, and he's questionable. So they are very banged up on the defensive side of the ball. And then on their D-line, they were almost going to get their defensive tackle, Aleem McNeil, back. He tore his ACL in December, I believe, of last year and was second on the team in pressures by season's end. Well, he's not quite ready to play either, and he's already been ruled out. So that's a little bit of a sigh of relief for the Chiefs O-line that's been playing very well. You have Aiden Hutchinson. This man is an absolute game wrecker, one of the best pass rushers the Chiefs are going to go up against all season long. And so who will he go up against? Your guess is as good as mine. Probably both Jawan Taylor and Josh Simmons. Now, the O-line on the offense has been a big bright spot this year. Kingsley's getting better every single week, as is Josh Simmons. Creed and Trey are fine for the most part, as is Jawan Taylor, who, if not getting flagged, is a above average pass protector, and over the last 2 weeks hasn't been flagged at all. Technically, I think he got flagged for illegal formation, but it should have been on Tyquan Thornton last week in that loss against the Jags, where the Chiefs were very undisciplined, had 13 flags, and that is not acceptable, and you're not going to get away with a W against a great Lions team if you're going to be doing that. So yes, this is where the Chiefs have to fire on all cylinders on offense and take advantage of the Lions' banged up secondary. I feel like their linebackers get slept on, and Zaloni and Jack Campbell. They're both very good linebackers in their own right, so you can't sleep on those guys either, but you just get a lot of focus on Aiden Hutchinson, who is a game wrecker, and then the banged up secondary. But that's where you're going to see guys like Tyquan Thornton. Can he make quite the impact like he did last week, at least in the first half, and then wasn't really targeted much again after that? And then Xavier Worthy. He did not practice yesterday with the ankle, but Andy Reid said today during his presser he was a full go today at practice, and he's good to go. And in fact, when you look at the Chiefs' injuries and compare them to the Lions' injuries, it's pretty much night and day. Every single player on the Chiefs' injury report was a full go on Friday and have no game designation. There's nobody questionable, and that includes a couple of key players that didn't play last week. That's Omar Norman-Lott, defensive tackle Omar Norman-Lott, the rookie. If he can play this week, that's going to help the D-line, no doubt about it. And then Christian Fulton might be playing in this game. I don't really care if it's Christian Fulton, if it's Noel Williams. You have to get Trent McDuffie into the slot, and I'll talk more about that here soon when I flip sides of the ball, because that's some really big keys for this game on the defensive side of the ball. Now, let's stick to the offense. The running back room, they were looking a lot better last week. Get a little bit of that going in this one, yes. Get that O-line to hold up for Patrick Mahomes, and then if you want to win, you're going to have to put up at least 30. The Lions are too good on the other side of the ball, so take advantage of this banged-up secondary, banged-up defense. Get Worthy going, get Thornton going, take some shots. If they're going to be playing zone a little bit more because of the lack of depth in the cornerback room and the safety room being banged up, okay, but can Kelsey and Juju Smith-Schuster get going? You get Rice back week 7, so you've got to make it through one more week without him. And this is a borderline playoff game. It's very important for the Kansas City Chiefs because you don't want to fall to 2-4. The Lions, they're 4-1 right now. They lost week 1 against the Packers and then have since rattled off 4 straight wins and are averaging over 35 points a game. So you have to come into this game. You can't have the flags on special teams, offense and defense, and you have to put up at least 30. I think because the secondary being so banged up, that is actually possible, and don't have turnovers. Big key there because the Lions defense is 3rd in takeaways. You just played the Jags, who were 1st in takeaways, and then Mahomes threw that very costly pick 6. That was against a top 5 defense that if the pick 6 didn't happen, the Chiefs offense was going to hang 35 on that defense after hanging 37 on the Ravens' super banged up defense the week prior. So get to about 33, 35. I think the Chiefs have a good chance of winning this game. If we flip sides of the ball, that's where you're really going to have to hope, pray, whatever word you want to use there, that Spags and company can do enough to limit this very high-powered Lions offense. So that's what I want to talk about next. But first, I want to give you 3 of my favorite picks for this game, thanks to the season-long partner of the channel, Underdog, the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. Mahomes has thrown 32 or more pass attempts in 4 of 5 games and is averaging 36.5 attempts this season. So hit the higher on his 31.5 for this one, because I feel like this game might be a bit of a shootout with Detroit's banged up cornerback room. Then Tyquan Thornton's receiving line is only 20.5 yards. He's hit this in 4 out of 5 this year and is averaging nearly 55 in each game, so it's the easy hire for me. Next up, I almost feel like the Lions kicker, Jake Bates, making more than 2.5 extra points is a lock in this one. The Lions are averaging nearly 4.5 touchdowns a game, and with KC's defense looking a bit shaky at times, I think Detroit easily scores 3 touchdowns in this one, and if these 3 picks hit, you can win up to 2.96x on your money, so make sure to tail these if you like them, or make your own picks on Underdog by choosing higher or lower on your favorite player stats for a chance to win up to 1,000x on your money. And right now, new signups who use my code HBTC can play just $5 and get $100 in bonus funds plus a gimme pick in the lobby. All right, so something to note right off the bat here for the Lions offense as we switch sides of the ball. Their left tackle, Taylor Decker, is questionable to play with a shoulder injury. He might play, we'll see. But then their backup left tackle, Giovanni Manu, who made his starting debut, I believe, last week, he is also questionable to play with a knee. So you've got your starting left tackle and your backup left tackle injured. This is kind of a bit of a semi-makeshift O-line. They did a lot of shuffling this offseason, and they aren't the best in the business, okay? But they've held up for the most part, and Jared Goff has been picking defenses apart week after week. He leads the NFL with 12 touchdowns, has the highest completion percentage in the NFL. So banged up O-line or not, they've really been able to make it work because they are an absolute powerhouse on their offensive side of the ball. Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, that's a great running back duo, one of the best in the entire NFL. You're going to have to watch out for them. Try to sell out to stop the run a little bit, but the problem is, and this is where the Lions can get you, you have those two, but then you have Sam Laporta, one of the best tight ends in the NFL, top 5, top 7, top 3, depending on the metrics that you look at. He is a problem, but then you also have Jameson Williams, their burner. He's been a little quiet this year, but then you have one of the best, if not the best, slot receiver in all of football, in Amon-Ra St. Brown. He was on the injury report with the wrist, said it's just kind of sore and bothers him a little bit, but he's going to be playing. If you're going to have Chamari Connor in the slot, okay, on Amon-Ra St. Brown, banged up wrist or not, this dude's going off for 200 yards. So a big key in this game is get Christian Fulton, who should be playing, or Noel Williams, the rookie, more snaps on defense, because that is going to allow Trent McDuffie to kick into the slot. I almost feel like this man has to shadow Amon-Ra St. Brown because Amon-Ra leads receivers in the NFL with 6 receiving touchdowns. He is an absolute problem, has had like 4 games straight of 70-plus receiving yards. You have to try to do all that you can to take him out of the game, which is still going to be impossible. He's going to make some plays here or there. If you cover him, it's going to leave opportunities open for Sam Laporta, or Jahmyr Gibbs is quite the dual threat back himself. And then Jameson Williams is your burner. So this is going to be a little bit of a problem for the Chiefs defense to try to really stop these guys. You're just going to have to hope you can force a punt here or there. This offense is kind of fun to watch, even without their OC, who moved on and is the head coach of the Bears now, and Ben Johnson. They still look quite the same. They're running trick plays. They are very electric, very explosive on offense, and are quite literally a buzzsaw. I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat it here. The Chiefs defense are going to have their backs up against the wall, and you're going to have to just do what you can to not allow them to put up 40. I mean, if you could get a takeaway, great. But Goff only has, 2 on the year? So they're not a team that turns the ball over a lot. Meanwhile, their defense has the 3rd most takeaways in the NFL. Their special teams unit's pretty good. Also, Khalif Raymond, he's their returner. He's dealing with a neck injury, questionable to play. We'll see if he plays or not, but still, very good kicker, very good punter, great special teams unit on both sides of the ball. Meanwhile, the Chiefs special teams unit, they make me a little bit nervous with all the flags last week. Harrison Butker has missed a field goal or extra point in every single week so far this season, aside from last week. But in that game, he kicked that kickoff out of bounds, gave the Jags the ball at the 40 on their last offensive possession. That led to the Trevor Lawrence diving touchdown. Let's talk about Chris Jones and that D-line for a second here. Chris Jones took accountability for it later on this week, saying, hey, I thought Lawrence was down or was going to be down, and kept watching this happen and realized, man, I should have just played to the whistle and went after it no matter what happened. It was a learning lesson for him. It's not going to happen again. That's what he said. Chris Jones is not washed. He's not lazy every single snap like some of the overreactions have said. He's still a very quality defensive tackle. He's not at the peak anymore. He's 31. He's going down a little bit, but he's still top 3 defensive tackle in the NFL here, guys, okay? So can the Chiefs D-line take advantage of the banged up offensive line of the Lions, particularly the left tackle spot? That's where Amenahu's going to have to come alive. Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, like they're going to have to basically play out of their minds here. Force a takeaway, get a punt here or there if you want to survive the buzzsaw that is the Detroit Lions. With all that being said, I am going to roll with the Chiefs winning this game. I know a lot of analysts are picking the Lions, and Cole, you're a Chiefs fan, but here's the thing. This is a playoff game for the Kansas City Chiefs because you cannot go to 2-4. I say that, but then I'll speak out of both sides of my mouth because then I'll say, well, if they go to 2-4, you get Rice back. The schedule gets a little bit easier. It's not impossible, but each game gets dramatically more difficult and more important. If you win this game and you're 3-3 with the return of Rashee Rice, it's going to look a whole lot better. So I think you're going to have a very passionate Patrick Mahomes. That offense is going to be firing. The defense will try to make some plays and slow down that very high-powered Detroit offense. And then you can't forget this. The Chiefs are at home. Home field advantage. That crowd is going to help play a role there. Goff is a savvy veteran. He's not going to be phased to a big degree. Even though he's on the road, he actually has a very good record on the road. But I am going to have the Chiefs winning this game. I'm going to go 34-31. Maybe I'm sipping on hopium. I don't really know. But the offense is looking absolutely incredible. Pick 6 aside. The running back room was coming to life a little bit. I think they are starting to get in sync, in a rhythm. Kelsey's looking good. There's just a lot of options out there, especially when you have Worthy and Tyquan Thornton flying around as well. I'm going with the Chiefs winning 34-31. I really hope it's so. Don't want to cover another loss, and then I just don't really want the Chiefs to fall to 2-4. This season it's not on the line in this game, but it gets dramatically more difficult to win the division, and each game gets that much more important after this to claw your way to a wild card spot. But let me know where you're at in the comments down below. What are some of the concerns that you have? What's your score prediction? Who's going to win? Let me know either way in the comments below, and we'll see you for the live stream on Sunday Night Football. So until then, let's go. Let's freaking go. How about those?